It's February 2026. The Middle East is erupting. Oil prices are surging, global shipping lanes are effectively shut down, and regional military bases are taking direct hits. But the most remarkable detail of this massive conflict is what didn't happen. No nuclear weapon was ever detonated. The trigger was entirely psychological. For years, global geopolitics had been paralyzed by the anticipation of a weapon being built. You don't actually need to drop an atomic bomb to ravage a region. The invisible fear of one is more than capable of doing the job. To understand how we got here, we have to look at the source of that fear. Iran spent decades building massive industrial complexes, often highly restricted, designed to harness atomic energy. The core engine of these facilities is a process called uranium enrichment. It requires thousands of tall, silver machines called centrifuges, spinning at supersonic speeds to separate uranium isotopes. This diagram shows why that process is so contentious. Enrichment is a dual-use technology. The exact same machinery, using the exact same raw material, can be pushed down two very different paths. Keep the enrichment levels low, and you generate fuel for electricity and medical research. Iranian leaders consistently stated this was their only goal, a standard civilian energy grid and technological independence. Push those enrichment levels high enough, and you get the fissile material needed for a nuclear warhead. To the United States and its allies, this capability looked like a ticking clock toward a Middle Eastern arms race. Because a peaceful power plant and a pre-weapons facility share the exact same scientific DNA, neither side could definitively prove their intentions. Without outside intervention, mutual suspicion was guaranteed. In 2015, that intervention arrived. A landmark agreement called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, was signed, effectively pausing the geopolitical panic. The mechanics were straightforward. Iran agreed to strict caps on its enrichment program. In return, the international community lifted the heavy economic sanctions suffocating the Iranian economy. The anchor of the deal was verification. Independent inspectors from the IAEA were given unprecedented access to monitor Iran's activities, acting as the physical buffer between Iranian scientists and Western intelligence agencies. It worked for a time. It pushed the timeline for a potential weapon back by a decade or more, yet the underlying machinery and the deep-seated mistrust remained firmly in place. That fragile trust shattered in 2018. The United States officially withdrew from the agreement, tearing up the diplomatic framework. Washington immediately reinstated harsh economic sanctions. The goal was to exert maximum pressure, collapsing trade and driving up inflation to force Tehran into a more restrictive deal. Tehran didn't back down. Viewing the economic blockade as a threat to their survival, Iranian leaders pushed forward. They curtailed the international inspectors' access and aggressively ramped their nuclear activities back up to build negotiating leverage. This chart tracks Iran's uranium reserves. Over the next few years, the volume of highly enriched uranium spikes, shattering safe limits. The theoretical window for Iran to process that material into a weapon collapsed from 10 years down to weeks. By late 2025, U.S. and allied leaders looked at the intelligence and made a brutal calculation. They believed the diplomatic off-ramp was closed and that doing nothing was mathematically riskier than pulling the trigger. Both nations were trapped in a classic security dilemma. The United States applied pressure to defend against a threat, and Iran enriched uranium to defend against the pressure. Every defensive step pulled them closer to war. In February 2026, the breaking point arrived. The U.S. and its allies launched massive preemptive strikes, targeting military and nuclear infrastructure with one clear objective: forcibly reset the enrichment clock. Tehran immediately fired back. They launched swarms of drones and precision ballistic missiles, striking allied assets and military bases across the Middle East. The localized strikes rapidly metastasized. Commercial shipping lines were attacked, international airspace was shuttered, and global energy markets spiraled into chaos. A decade of arguing over theoretical timelines and invisible stockpiles had materialized into blood, fire, and economic ruin. The tragedy of this conflict is the absolute misalignment of intent. The United States went to war terrified of the power Iran was trying to acquire. Iran acquired that power because they were terrified of being attacked. That is the inescapable paradox of the atomic age. Sometimes the mere thought of a nuclear bomb is powerful enough to start a war, even if the bomb never actually exists.